Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Michaela for those of you who are new here, and I am a junior at Winthrop University. For purposes of this video, I'm going to explain a little bit about my situation. I'm technically a senior, but I changed my major so many times that I'm going to have to go an extra year of school, so it'll take me 5 years total to get a 4-year degree, which is just great. It's going to be okay. But I am technically a senior, so this is like my 4th year in school, but I'm also technically a junior because I'll end up going 5 years, if that makes sense. So, the reason why I'm saying that is because today's video is going to be a top 10 that I've come up with, like tips for being successful in college. And I'm saying that, this is my 4th year because I have a lot of experience. I've tried a lot of different things to see what works best, at least for me. So I'm going to kind of share some of my tips and tricks with you guys and some of the ideas that I have and things that I wish I had known sooner. So I have tried filming this a couple times. The first time I tried to film it, my camera messed up and it didn't like film it right. It was like, I don't know, patchy looking, if that makes sense. And then, I tried to film it this morning, but after I started filming, I come up with more tips, and so I went back and kind of redid my list of tips, I guess you would say. So I am going to try to film it again now, and hopefully this will be the last time I have to film it because I want to be able to upload it tomorrow. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just get right into the video. So if you guys like it, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so you can stick around and see all of the content to come. Alright, let's do it. Okay, so I have split the top 10 tips that I could come up with into 3 categories, being things you need, and then like a class section of how to be successful in class or before class, things to do for class. I just said class way too much. And then the last thing is kind of like your social, more like involvement stuff. So, before I start, I want to kind of give a disclaimer that this is stuff that worked for me. Just because it worked for me does not mean that it will work for you, so you have to really find stuff that works for you. Everybody learns and studies and works differently, so you have to find what really works for you. And I think that is one of the most important things to remember when watching videos like this or when, thinking about college in general or life in general. Just find what works best for you. So my first tip is to get a planner. I have it right here in front of me so I can show you guys. I have a Erin Condren life planner. I live by this thing. Everything I do throughout my day is in here. I have an hourly one, so I have it broke down by the hour for class schedules, meetings, appointments, whatever the case may be. I have everything in here. And I really like using this because it allows me to write down everything I have to do that day, as well as any to-dos, whether that be homework or cleaning or, whatever the case may be. Anything to-do wise I can put in here, and I can just see it all at a quick glance. I also like to put homework and stuff like that on my monthly view, just because I can kind of glance over it and say like, oh, the week of the 9th is going to be extremely busy for me, which that's already passed in September, but I could look at it and say, that week's going to be busy. I better not plan anything extra to do that week or for that week. So I highly recommend getting a planner. It doesn't have to be one expensive. Mine is a little bit pricey, but I've used these for years and I know that this works for me. Again, you just have to find what works best for you. You can get perfectly good planners at Walmart or Target or any kind of office supply store, so I recommend shopping around and finding what works best for you. And one thing that I have really dealt with in the past is buying a planner that I thought I would like it first and I thought would work for me, and then it ended up not working for me. So I think it's important to remember that if it doesn't work for you, toss it and get a new one. Or maybe not toss it, but get something that does work for you. This also kind of goes into digital planning. If you're not somebody who needs to write things down or who likes to actually write them down, I personally have to write it in order to do it, and I like to be able to physically check things off or scratch through them or highlight or whatever the case may be. I really like to actually do the motion of checking it off, so writing it works well for me, but I know a lot of people use Google Calendar or things of that nature, and that is perfectly fine. Again, just do what works best for you. So, tip 2 is to have a laptop. I have it sitting right here. It's on the charger. I have a MacBook Air. It totally just came off the charger. But yeah, I have a MacBook Air. I love it. When I started college, I had a Dell, I think it was. It was either like a Dell or an HP or some other, like, bigger name brand one that worked perfectly fine. It ended up getting a virus, and they really couldn't fix it for me. They kept trying to fix it and whatever. I kept taking it to Staples and I had to do it over and over again, so I finally just said, whatever, I will get a new laptop. So I went out and got a MacBook Air. I have thoroughly enjoyed having a MacBook. It works great now for YouTube because I can use iMovie to edit videos. Overall, I just really like the way that they work. But get any kind of laptop. Any laptop will work as long as you have access to the internet and Microsoft Word, or I just use Pages and and stuff that comes with the MacBook, and then I will export to a Word document or PowerPoint or whatever I need the file to be in to turn it in, if that makes sense. So any kind of laptop will work, but you have to really have one. I know that a lot of people their freshman year try not to have one, and you end up having to go to the library or trying to borrow someone's to get work done, and that just becomes aggravating throughout time. It just isn't worth doing that. So just invest. You'll use it all 4 years and afterwards, I'm sure. So just invest in a good one that will last. So that kind of wraps up the things portion of the video. So now I'm going to move into the class portion. So I have several tips for this portion of the video. This is where the majority of the tips come from. Just because I really am a big believer in being prepared for class, knowing what's going on, knowing your professors, all that kind of stuff. So this is something that I've really thought hard about. This is where I've changed a lot and added a lot. So I hope these things really help you guys out. But tip 3 is to read your syllabus before class. So I know at Winthrop, most of our professors, and I say most because we always have that one who doesn't post a syllabus or is just post a syllabus that doesn't make sense. It's from years prior or whatever. But the majority of the professors at Winthrop, and I'm sure at other colleges, post the syllabus before class starts, before the semester even begins. And I think that's great for multiple reasons. One, you have a chance to read through about the class itself, but mainly because you have a chance to look at the schedule. I know that's the most important thing to me and to a lot of people, so I think it's important to read the syllabus, but I also think it's important to look at the schedule at the back. Whenever I get my syllabi that first week or the week before, I always sit down with my planner and my syllabi and put everything in. For the whole semester, I write all of it in. I do it a little different this school year. I have gotten to where at the beginning of each month, I make a little dashboard of everything due that month instead of going ahead and writing it in, because I use stickers and stuff like that, which you've seen if you've seen my plan with me at this point. And you'll also see when I do plan with me for October for the monthly view. But since I use stickers, I may not already have, right now I don't have December kits. They have not come out yet from the girl that I ordered stickers from, so I haven't put in the assignments for December, but I always put them on the monthly dashboard at the beginning of the month, just so that I can see the whole month in a glance. But whether you do it like that, or if you write all of them in and color code them, or however you want to do it, write all of them in your planner, or type them into your Google Calendar, whatever kind of digital planning you're doing, just so you can keep up with everything that's coming up and everything that's going on in your classes. So, tip 4 is, I feel like, a very broad tip, or not broad, but very obvious, I guess you would say, and it's to show up to class and show up on time. I know as a freshman, I skipped a lot of classes. I calculated at the beginning of the year, in our syllabi, it usually says it gives a percent, and honestly I can't think of the percent because I haven't looked at it in so long, but every class gives you a percent of days you can miss, or the professor will tell you how many days you can miss, and I always make sure that I make a note of that. So, or back then I did, my like freshman first couple semesters, maybe even freshman and sophomore year. But I always made a note of that so that I would know how many days I could miss, which sounds horrible, but I honestly did. I would skip class all the time if I didn't have to be there, if I still had days to miss and I just didn't feel like going. It wasn't necessarily that I was always sick or had something else going on. Some days I would just not want to get out of bed, and so I wouldn't go, or I would be at school and want to just go home and go to sleep, so I would come home and go to sleep. But I recommend, now that I've learned more, I guess you would say, and been in college longer, I have figured out that it's best if you are in class, which I feel like it's pretty obvious, because not only are you missing out on whatever's happening in class, but you've paid for that class. You know, you've paid good money, or your parents are getting loans, or whatever, your scholarships, whatever the case may be. In some way, you or someone you know have paid for that class, so why would you not go? You know, you wouldn't go out and buy clothes and not wear them, or buy a new bag and not carry it, or something like that. So I think it's just one of those important things that we need to do as a college student. That's kind of our job. So tip 5 is get to know your professors. Now, I kind of mainly mean this for like your major professors, and I say that loosely because you also want to get to know your gen ed professors, but I think it's most important to get to know your major professors, because those are the professors that you're going to be with for a long time after you get those first couple years. Those are professors that are going to see you through graduation, and also those are the professors that you can put on your resume one day. Those are the professors that are like your mentors, and that will give you good recommendations when you're trying to get a job. So tip 6 is to develop a study routine. I know this is something that I struggled with my first couple years of college, but I think it's important, and I've learned the importance the hard way, as I have with many of these tips, that it's important to have a study routine. I typically do most of my homework on the weekends. That's what worked best for me because I have classes throughout the week. Weeknights are busy for me. So I like to get things done on the weekend as much as possible. So find what works best for you. Again, if weekends don't work for you, if you're busy or you work or whatever the case may be on the weekends, then obviously don't do that. But that's what worked best for me, and I don't know, that's really all I have to say about that. Find what works best for you. Tip 7 is, this is the last tip in like the class preparation kind of stuff. It's to be prepared before each class. So I know a lot of professors at Winthrop, especially in the major that I'm in, they will give you readings to do before class, and they expect you to have them read before class. Typically, whatever the reading was on before class is what we will talk about when we're in class that day. So it wouldn't be very beneficial for me to even go to class if I hadn't read the material, because I wouldn't be able to participate in any kind of discussion or know what was going on. So I think this one kind of speaks for itself too, but do whatever is required of you to do before class. Read over the syllabus. Even if there's nothing to do, just look at the syllabus and see what you're going to be talking about and kind of prepare your mind for whatever that may be. So, moving out of the class section, the last section of tips, this is the last 3 tips, is more like social skills, or not skills, but social things to do, I guess you would say. So tip 8 is to join organizations. My first 3 years, which I guess I can't really say that. Last year I joined a club, and then I ended up not really caring for it that much. I love the people in it, but I just didn't, I don't know. I had a lot going on last semester, and it didn't fit me. So I ended up dropping out after I was in it for a few weeks. But this semester I have gotten heavily involved. I'm currently involved in 3 different organizations or clubs on campus, and I'm really enjoying my time there a lot more this year than I have in the past. So I can't stress enough how important it is to get involved. You will dread going to school. You'll hate your college career if you don't get involved. I promise. I've been there, done that. I always heard that when I was a freshman. Everybody older than me would say, get involved, do this, do that, come hang out with these people, or whatever the case may be. And I always said no. I wasn't interested. I didn't really care to get involved in anything. I wanted to just come to school and that be it. I wanted to do school and go home and be done. But I learned very quickly that doing that was making me miserable. I wasn't making a lot of friends on campus. I wasn't having fun going to school, and I felt like college should be fun. It shouldn't just be school. It's more than that. Tip 9 is to get out of your comfort zone. So with this tip, it kind of feeds into the last tip with joining organizations and the next tip, which will be the last one. But you really need to get out of your comfort zone, because when in college you're kind of forced to. You come into people that you don't really know well, unless you went to college with a lot of friends or something, which was not the case for me or any of my friends. We all split up and went different places. So I think it's important to get out of your comfort zone, whether that is meeting new kinds of people that you normally wouldn't talk to, or joining organizations that don't really maybe fit you think. And by that, I don't mean like if you don't skydive, do not go join the skydiving club. But try to get out of your comfort zone. Do something that puts you a little on edge, because we only grow when we're outside of our own box. You can't grow any when you're in your comfort zone. It's a nice place to be, but you have to get out of that to learn new things and meet new people. So, my last tip, and I should have said this at the beginning, but I just now thought about it. These are not in any kind of like specific order. The first tip wasn't the best tip. The last tip isn't the best tip. They were just all mixed together, and I kind of categorized them as you've seen, but these were not in any particular order. So, the last tip is to get to know people in your major. I think this one kind of speaks for itself, like many of the others, but you want to get to know the people that are doing the same thing as you, because 1, you're doing the same thing, 2, you're going to spend a lot of time with these people, and 3, since you're doing the same thing, they understand what you're going through. So when it comes down to like I know for like education, we have to do what's called EdTPA our senior year. We're starting to work on it now, but it's a big project. It's kind of like it is our certification, like our licensure exam. Licensure. I can't say that. But it's like our big exam, I guess you would say. It's not really a test, but it's what we have to do to get licensed in South Carolina. And so it helps to know people who are going through the same thing as you, because they can relate. They not only can help you with what you're doing, but they can support you when you're having a bad day, because they've been there and they've done it and you've supported them. So just build that cohort early, so that way when it comes down to the wire your senior year or your junior year and you're really stressed with your classes or something, you'll have people to lean on because they're going through the same exact thing. So that is basically it for all the tips. I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. I hope that you guys can take away some tips that you can use in your life in college. I know that this would have been better suited for like back to school season, I guess you would say, and it's technically not back to school season anymore. Y'all, peep my dog back there. She's chilling. Nunu, what are you doing? Nunu! She can't hear me. She's extremely old. But what was I saying? Oh, just really open yourself up. These top 10 tips are things that work for me. I'm totally not sure if this was what I was saying or not, but this is what I'm going to go with. So these are things that worked for me in college. I hope that you find something that worked for you and something that you can kind of take into school with you. So without making this any longer, I'm going to go ahead and end it off here. I hope again that you found something you liked, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment if you have other tips you would like to add for other people to see. Let's kind of help each other out here. If you have tips that I didn't mention or would like to elaborate any more on them, leave a comment below. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I will get back to you. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye guys.